What happens when two siblings share an extraordinary bond that most people could never imagine? From rare conditions to incredible journeys, these siblings have faced challenges together and surprised the world with their strength, courage, and resilience. Today, we're meeting some of the most extraordinary siblings you'll ever see. Before we dive in, subscribe for more extraordinary stories. Now, let's begin. Six brothers and sisters, one rare genetic condition, and a Guinness World Record that turned something they were once bullied for into a source of pride. Meet Naseem Akhtar, Ghulam Ali, Haider Ali, Muqaddis Bibi, Musarat Begum, and Mohammed Rafi, the six Akhtar siblings from Coventry, England. All six were born with albinism, a genetic condition that affects the production of melanin, the pigment that gives color to the skin, hair, and eyes. Albinism can also affect vision, and the siblings have spoken openly about experiencing significant eyesight difficulties. But their story is about much more than their appearance. Growing up, the siblings faced staring, insults, bullying, and discrimination. School could be especially difficult because they often felt different from the people around them. Yet through those difficult years, they had something incredibly important: each other. Naseem, the oldest sibling, became what her brothers and sisters describe as a mother figure. She helped guide the younger members of the family, while the siblings supported one another through the challenges they faced. Because of their impaired eyesight, they also learned to look out for each other. Their youngest brother, Mohammed Rafi, explained that although their sight was not as good, standing together made them feel stronger and safer. And eventually, the six siblings decided they wanted to turn their story into something positive. On May 14, 2021, Guinness World Records officially recognized them as the family with the most siblings with albinism, 6 in total. The achievement was especially meaningful because the family had actually been separated for around 24 years before reuniting during the COVID-19 pandemic. After their reunion, Naseem decided to apply for the Guinness World Records title as a way of celebrating their uniqueness. For the siblings, however, the record wasn't simply about having their names in a book. It became an opportunity to educate people about albinism and challenge the stigma they had experienced throughout their lives. Naseem has said that, over time, she learned to appreciate the very condition that once made her feel different. For her, albinism became part of what made her unique. And that's perhaps the most powerful part of their story. The six siblings didn't allow years of bullying or discrimination to define who they were. Instead, they built their identity around their family, their resilience, and their willingness to stand together. Their story is a reminder that being different doesn't have to be something you hide. Sometimes, the very thing that makes you stand out can become the thing that brings people together. 6 siblings, one extraordinary bond, and a world record that helped them celebrate exactly what made them different. Because their greatest strength wasn't simply being unique, it was having each other. Some siblings grow up sharing the same home, the same memories, and the same childhood experiences. But Bridget and Brad Jordan shared something far more unusual. In 2011, the brother and sister from Sandoval, Illinois, were officially recognized by Guinness World Records as the shortest living siblings in the world. Bridget was measured at just 69 centimeters, or 27.2 inches, while her younger brother Brad measured 98 centimeters, or 38.6 inches. Their small stature was caused by a rare genetic condition known as Majewski osteodysplastic primordial dwarfism type 2. Bridget's size was already remarkable from birth. She was only 31.75 centimeters, or 12.5 inches long, and weighed about 800 grams, less than 2 pounds. But what makes Bridget and Brad's story so interesting isn't simply how small they were. It was how they chose to live their lives. Despite their condition, both siblings were active college students at Kaskaskia College. Brad enjoyed activities including karate, gymnastics, basketball, and magic tricks. Bridget loved dancing and even participated in cheerleading. For Bridget, becoming a world record holder wasn't something that stopped her from pursuing the things she enjoyed. In fact, when Guinness recognized her as the world's shortest living woman in 2011, she embraced the achievement with confidence. She even described the experience as feeling great to be small. Her brother Brad also understood that their story could mean something bigger. He hoped their record would help people realize that it's okay to be different. And that message is an important part of their story. Being born with a rare condition meant that Bridget and Brad faced a world that wasn't always designed for people their size. Yet instead of allowing their differences to define their limits, they continued going to college, pursuing hobbies, and enjoying life together. Their story also reminds us that a Guinness World Record doesn't always come from strength, speed, or physical ability. Sometimes a record represents something much more personal, a life lived boldly despite circumstances that make you stand out from everyone else. Bridget eventually passed away on June 12, 2019, at the age of 30. But her story with Brad remains remarkable. 2 siblings, 1 extraordinary condition, 1 world record, and a powerful example that being different doesn't mean you have to live a smaller life. Because for Bridget and Brad Jordan, their greatest achievement may not have been becoming the world's shortest siblings. It may have been showing the world that size never determines the size of a person's dreams. Some siblings grow up sharing childhood memories. Michelle and Amber Vandeweert shared something far more unusual. They were 2 siblings living with the same extremely rare condition, progeria. Born in Belgium, Michelle and his younger sister Amber were both diagnosed with Hutchinson-Gilford progeria syndrome, a genetic disorder that causes the body to age much faster than normal. Amber was diagnosed just 6 weeks after she was born, while Michelle was diagnosed at the age of 5. Their family's website says they were the only brother and sister known to both have classical progeria. But their story was never simply about a disease. Michelle loved snowboarding, kart racing, video games, music, and spending time with his friends. Amber enjoyed dancing, gymnastics, shopping, and spending time with her brother. In an interview published by the Progeria Research Foundation, Amber described herself as social, inquisitive, honest, and family-oriented. Michelle simply described himself as awesome. When asked what they wished people understood about them, Amber said she wanted people to know that she was just a kid who wanted to do normal things. Michelle had a powerful message of his own. Just because he looked different did not mean he was different. For years, the siblings also participated in clinical research and treatment programs. Michelle began participating in a Progeria Research Foundation clinical trial in 2007, while Amber joined the program in 2009. Both continued receiving medical care and treatment while pursuing ordinary interests and experiences. Their lives were eventually documented in the 2026 documentary series How to Be Alive, Amber and Michelle, which followed the siblings as they talked about their dreams, ambitions, health, and life together. The documentary showed something important. They were not defined by progeria. They had humor, they had ambitions, they had disagreements, they had dreams, and most importantly, they had each other. Michelle also lived far longer than doctors had originally expected. His family and Belgian media reported that he passed away in August 2026 at the age of 28. He had spent his life enjoying music, gaming, festivals, friends, and countless experiences that proved his life could be much bigger than the expectations placed on him. After his death, Amber shared an emotional farewell to her older brother, calling being his sister the most beautiful title she could have, and thanking him for teaching her how to live so beautifully. And that may be the most powerful part of their story. Michelle and Amber were given a condition that made time feel different from the very beginning. But instead of measuring their lives only by how long they might have, they filled those years with family, friendship, dreams, laughter, and love. They were siblings, they were best friends, and together they showed the world that an extraordinary life isn't necessarily measured by how many years you are given, but by how much life you put into those years. Michelle and Amber Vandeweert. 2 siblings, 1 extraordinary bond, and a story that reminds us to truly live while we can. Their stories remind us that being different can create a bond that is truly extraordinary. When you first see Anjali and Keshav, you might think they're much older than they really are. But appearances can be deceiving. These remarkable siblings from India were both born with an incredibly rare genetic condition called cutis laxa, a disorder that causes the skin to become loose, wrinkled, and less elastic. Their unusual appearance has drawn attention from people around the world, but their story is about far more than how they look. Anjali began showing symptoms when she was just 1 month old. Her parents noticed that her skin appeared unusually dry and loose. Years later, they were heartbroken to discover that their younger son, Keshav, had inherited the same rare condition. Having 2 children with such an uncommon disorder is extraordinarily rare, making their family's journey even more unique. Cutis laxa affects the body's connective tissues, causing the skin to lose its elasticity. In some cases, it can also affect internal organs, joints, and the lungs, depending on the specific type of the condition. Although there is currently no cure, doctors focus on monitoring symptoms and helping patients maintain the best possible quality of life. Growing up hasn't always been easy. People often stare at the siblings or ask uncomfortable questions because they look much older than their actual ages. But instead of letting those reactions bring them down, Anjali and Keshav have formed an incredibly close bond. They support each other every day, helping one another face the challenges that come with living with such a rare condition. Their father has proudly shared that seeing his children care for each other gives him hope, while their older sister considers herself lucky to have siblings who are truly one of a kind. Today, Anjali and Keshav continue to inspire people around the world with their courage and resilience. Their story reminds us that true beauty isn't defined by appearance, but by strength, kindness, and the love shared within a family. Even though they were born different, they prove that what truly matters is not how you look, but how you choose to live your life. Louise, a 21-year-old woman, and her younger brother Valence were both born with an extremely rare congenital condition known as anophthalmia, where one or both eyes fail to develop during pregnancy. Louise lives with complete blindness, while Valence faces even greater challenges, as he was also born deaf and unable to speak. Before Louise was born, their parents, Joseph and his wife, had already experienced deep heartbreak. The couple lost 3 children in consecutive pregnancies, with each baby passing away shortly before or during birth. These repeated losses left the family in constant fear throughout their next pregnancy. When Louise was finally born alive, doctors discovered that she had no eyes. Despite her condition, her parents were simply grateful that she had survived. For them, her birth was a moment of relief after years of loss. Years later, when Valence was born with the same condition, along with hearing and speech impairments, the family came to accept their reality and made a commitment to care for both of their children. Despite her blindness, Louise has grown into a resilient young woman who actively helps around the home. She navigates daily tasks through touch and memory, assisting with chores such as washing dishes and cleaning clothes. She also discovered a love for singing, which helps her connect with others at school and within their local church community. Valence's condition presents more complex challenges. Without the ability to see, hear, or speak, communication becomes extremely difficult. He requires full-time care from his parents to manage even the most basic daily needs. Access to education remains one of the family's greatest struggles. While Louise attends a mainstream school, Valence has not yet been accepted into a school that can provide the specialized support he needs. Their greatest hope is to one day provide both siblings with access to proper education and professional care, believing that with the right support, they can continue to live meaningful lives despite the challenges they face. Imagine having a twin so deeply connected to you that the two of you speak only to each other and to no one else. This was the extraordinary reality of June and Jennifer Gibbons, identical twins whose mysterious lives earned them the nickname the Silent Twins. Born on April 11, 1963, to Barbadian parents, the sisters were raised in the United Kingdom. As children, they experienced severe bullying and isolation, partly because they were among the only black children in their community. Over time, they withdrew from the outside world and stopped speaking to almost everyone. Instead, they communicated only with each other using a rapid, private form of speech that very few people could understand. Despite their silence, June and Jennifer possessed remarkable imaginations. They spent countless hours writing stories, novels, poems, and diaries, creating an entire fictional world together. Their creativity became their escape from the loneliness they experienced growing up. As teenagers, however, their lives took a darker turn. The twins became involved in petty crimes, including vandalism and arson. In 1981, both were sent to Broadmoor Hospital, a high-security psychiatric hospital in England, where they remained for more than a decade. Doctors, psychologists, and researchers struggled to understand their unique relationship, describing it as one of the most unusual twin bonds ever documented. Perhaps the most heartbreaking chapter of their story came in 1993. Shortly after the sisters were transferred to a lower security hospital, Jennifer suddenly collapsed and died from acute myocarditis, a rare inflammation of the heart. She was just 29 years old. There was no evidence of poisoning or foul play, making her death both tragic and deeply mysterious. What happened next amazed many people. After spending nearly her entire life speaking only to her sister, June gradually began talking freely with other people. She later chose to live a quiet, private life away from the public eye. The extraordinary story of June and Jennifer has inspired books, documentaries, podcasts, and the 2022 biographical film The Silent Twins. Their lives remain one of the most fascinating and mysterious twin stories ever recorded, reminding us that the bond between twins can sometimes be as extraordinary as it is difficult to understand. Imagine being born as identical-looking twins, except one appears white and the other appears black. It may sound impossible, but for Lucy and Maria Aylmer from Gloucestershire, England, this incredible genetic surprise became a reality. Born in 1997 to a mixed-race family, Lucy and Maria are fraternal twins, meaning they developed from two separate eggs rather than one. Their mother Donna has Jamaican heritage, while their father Vince is white and of English descent. Because fraternal twins inherit different combinations of their parents' genes, each sister received a unique mix of genetic traits. When they were born, even their parents were amazed. Lucy inherited fair skin, blue eyes, and straight red hair, giving her a typically European appearance. Maria, on the other hand, inherited darker skin, brown eyes, and naturally curly black hair, reflecting more of her mother's Jamaican ancestry. Although they are twins, many people find it hard to believe they are even sisters. Growing up, the twins often attracted curious looks and countless questions. Strangers frequently assumed they were simply close friends rather than siblings. Even teachers and classmates were surprised after learning they were twins, because their appearances were so dramatically different. Despite their physical differences, Lucy and Maria have always shared a close relationship. They often laugh about people's reactions and have embraced their unique story with confidence. Their family also includes other siblings whose appearances fall somewhere between the two, showing just how diverse genetics can be within a single family. Genetic experts explain that cases like Lucy and Maria's are extremely rare but completely natural. Since fraternal twins inherit different combinations of genes from each parent, siblings can look very different. However, the chance of twins inheriting such dramatically different skin tones is exceptionally uncommon, making their story one of the world's most fascinating examples of human genetics. Today, Lucy and Maria continue to inspire people around the world by reminding us that family is defined by far more than appearance. Their remarkable story proves that genetics can produce extraordinary surprises, making them one of the most unforgettable sets of twins ever documented. Imagine entering the world with bones so fragile that they can break with the slightest movement. For identical twins Marieme and Mia, this was the heartbreaking reality from the very beginning. Yet despite facing enormous challenges, their story has become an inspiring example of courage and determination. Marieme and Mia were born with a rare genetic disorder called osteogenesis imperfecta, more commonly known as brittle bone disease. The condition causes bones to be extremely weak and prone to fractures. Even before they were born, doctors noticed signs that something was wrong. When the twins arrived, medical examinations revealed multiple broken bones throughout their tiny bodies. The prognosis was devastating. Their parents, Rayyan and Mohammad, were told that the girls might not survive. Doctors warned them to prepare for the worst, as the twins' condition was considered life-threatening. For weeks, Marieme and Mia remained in the neonatal intensive care unit, where every movement had to be handled with extraordinary care to avoid causing additional fractures. Fortunately, the twins were referred to specialists experienced in treating osteogenesis imperfecta. They began receiving medications to strengthen their bones, along with carefully planned surgeries that inserted metal rods into several of their long bones for added support. These treatments significantly improved their quality of life and gave them a chance to grow stronger. Even with these medical advances, everyday activities remain challenging. A simple fall or bump could still cause a fracture, meaning the twins must be constantly protected while learning to enjoy childhood as normally as possible. Despite these obstacles, Marieme and Mia are known for their cheerful personalities, bright smiles, and determination to keep exploring the world around them. Their remarkable journey has inspired thousands of people after being featured by Truly's Born Different series. Today, their parents continue to raise awareness about osteogenesis imperfecta, while showing that, with modern medicine, dedicated care, and unwavering love, children with rare conditions can achieve far more than many once believed possible. Marieme and Mia's story is a powerful reminder that true strength is not measured by the strength of your bones, but by the courage to keep smiling and moving forward, no matter how difficult life may be. Born in Mexico and raised in Connecticut, Carmen and Lupita Andrade have lived a life that most people can barely imagine. They are conjoined twins attached at the torso, and each sister has her own heart, lungs, and stomach, while they share a pelvis, a reproductive system, and parts of their digestive and circulatory systems. From the beginning, their condition was considered extremely rare, and doctors knew their case would never be simple. As children, Carmen and Lupita had to learn how to move, balance, and handle everyday life together. Over time, they developed their own personalities and their own way of living, proving that even in one body, two different people can still grow with separate identities. Carmen became more outspoken, while Lupita remained more private, and together they built a life centered on teamwork, independence, and resilience. Their story reached a new level of attention when Carmen quietly married Daniel McCormack, whom she met on Hinge in 2020. The wedding happened in Connecticut in October 2024, and Carmen later shared that Daniel treated her with genuine respect and interest. Lupita has also made it clear that she supports Carmen while still keeping her own boundaries and identity. What makes Carmen and Lupita Andrade so remarkable is not just the fact that they are conjoined twins. It is the way they continue to live with courage, honesty, and dignity in a world that often misunderstands them. Their journey is a powerful reminder that even the rarest human stories can still be filled with love, strength, and individuality. Claire and Lola Hartley from Kansas captured international attention because they were born with severe microcephaly, one of the rarest neurological conditions in the world. Microcephaly occurs when a baby's brain does not develop properly during pregnancy, resulting in a head size far smaller than normal and leading to lifelong developmental challenges. For Claire and Lola, the condition was so profound that doctors initially believed they would not survive infancy. Their parents, however, refused to give up hope. Growing up, the sisters faced a range of medical complications: limited motor function, difficulty swallowing, seizures, and extremely slow physical development. Their mother, Gwen Hartley, described that even simple tasks like holding up their heads or eating independently were nearly impossible. Despite these obstacles, Claire and Lola showed remarkable emotional awareness and deep family connection, responding to music, touch, and the presence of the people they loved most. The Hartley family became widely known after sharing their journey publicly to raise awareness about children living with rare neurological conditions. Their story gained global attention when microcephaly was linked to the Zika virus outbreak, prompting renewed interest in families affected by the disorder. Through their blog and media coverage, including a feature by The Guardian, the Hartleys showed the world that life with microcephaly is not defined only by medical limitations, but also by joy, resilience, and unconditional love. Although both girls eventually passed away, Claire in 2018 and Lola in 2022, their legacy continues to inspire families and caregivers facing similar challenges. Their lives prove that even the rarest and most severe medical conditions cannot diminish the impact of compassion and hope. Marcia and Millie Biggs are fraternal twin sisters from Birmingham, England, who became widely known because they look noticeably different despite being born to the same parents. Their story was featured by National Geographic in 2018 and became a powerful example of how genetics can create surprising differences within one family. Marcia has a lighter complexion and fair hair, while Millie has darker skin and darker hair, reflecting different traits inherited from their parents. Their father, Michael Biggs, is of Jamaican descent, while their mother, Amanda Wanklin, is English-born. Even though they are twins, people often mistake them for best friends instead of sisters because of their contrasting appearances. What makes their story so interesting is that it challenges the way many people think about race and identity. National Geographic used their story in a broader discussion about how race is socially defined, while the twins themselves simply grew up as sisters who accepted their differences as part of who they are. Marcia and Millie's story is not about shock for shock's sake. It is about family, genetics, and the beautiful variety the human body can produce. Their example reminds us that even twins can look completely different, and that difference does not change the bond they share. Laurie and George Chappelle were one of the most extraordinary sets of conjoined twins in modern history. Born on September 18, 1961, in West Reading, Pennsylvania, they were craniopagus twins, meaning they were joined at the head. Even with that rare condition, they grew into two distinct people with different personalities, interests, and goals. From the beginning, their lives challenged expectations. Doctors did not believe they would live to be 30, yet they proved them wrong and continued to inspire people for decades. Instead of letting their condition define them, Laurie and George built lives that reflected independence as much as possible. They lived separately, pursued different interests, and showed the world that being conjoined did not mean being the same person. Their story became even more remarkable because of how different their paths were. Laurie worked in a hospital laundry and became an award-winning bowler, while George pursued a career as a country singer. George also came out as transgender male in 2007, and Guinness World Records later recognized Laurie and George as the first same-sex conjoined twins to identify as different genders. Their lives became a rare example of individuality, identity, and acceptance under extraordinary circumstances. Even though they were physically connected, they made a strong effort to live life on their own terms. They were known for pursuing separate careers, interests, and relationships, and they did not want to be separated by surgery. Their story was not just about a rare medical condition, but about two people who insisted on living with dignity, privacy, and purpose. Laurie and George Chappelle passed away on April 7, 2024, at the age of 62, making them the world's oldest living conjoined twins at the time of their death. Their legacy remains powerful because they showed that even the rarest human stories can be filled with strength, individuality, and courage. Marieme and Ndeye were born in Dakar, Senegal, in May 2016, and their arrival stunned their family because multiple scans had not revealed that their mother was carrying twins, let alone conjoined twins. Doctors warned early on that babies with their condition rarely survive long after birth, but the girls kept defying expectations. As they grew, their story became one of survival, sacrifice, and determination. Their father, Ibrahim and Ndeye, eventually moved with them to Cardiff, Wales, so they could receive the care they needed. In 2025, the Welsh government described them as 8-year-old conjoined twins from Cardiff and said they were believed to be the only growing conjoined twins in Europe. Their medical condition is incredibly complex. People reported that Marieme and Ndeye each have a heart and their own lungs, but they share a stomach, liver, bladder, and digestive system, which made separation surgery extremely difficult. Doctors in the UK concluded that Mariem's heart was too weak to survive an operation, and Ibrahima refused to choose between his daughters. Even with those challenges, the girls continued to grow, learn, and adapt. Reports described Ndeye as more social and outgoing, while Marieme was quieter and more reserved. At school, they made friends, followed lessons with support, and showed that they were much more than a medical case. They were two children trying to live as normally as possible. Their story is especially moving because it is not only about rare biology, but also about love and resilience. Their father left behind his old life so he could devote himself to their care, and that decision helped turn their journey into one of the most remarkable conjoined twin stories in recent memory. These siblings stand out because of their striking appearance, with remarkably light skin, hair, and eyes. Their unique appearance can be associated with albinism, a rare genetic condition affecting melanin production. But beyond what makes them different, their story is about family, confidence, and embracing who they are. Sometimes, being different is what makes someone truly extraordinary. These are the rare siblings who continue to surprise the world and prove that together they can overcome almost anything.